guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because I talk about geeky things, and today we're going to talk about acting. So I have talked about this numerous times that I am an actor. I have been for a very long time. I'll kind of go through my history of acting here in just a second. But this video is something that I've been working on. This series essentially is something I've been working on for a very long time. And I really put the development for it into high gear after I was actually asked by a couple of people, whether that be on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook, to kind of talk about acting and kind of my approach and what acting really kind of is. So this is Acting 101. I will be your teacher. So I've been acting for many years. I can safely say almost 30. My first round of acting was with voiceover, and what I did was just commercials and like little spots here and there on a very small radio station in the city, in the town, not even city, town of Breezy Point. We were friends with a DJ, and so we would go and visit him, and he would sometimes just put me on the air to do some of the commercials. He would put me on the air to do some of the stuff, because I mean, when I'm saying small, I mean like he did his own commercial spots. Like he had sponsors essentially. They didn't run commercials. This was also the early 90s, so let's put that into perspective. But he just thought I was really cute. He thought my voice was really cute, so he just kind of started putting me on the air. I really enjoyed it, but the acting bug hadn't hit me. So then my very first time on stage was when I was in second grade, and we did this kind of our own written version of Are You My Mother? The book Are You My Mother? And I was a chick. I wanted to be a duckling, but I was a chick. Didn't want to be a chick. I wanted to be a duckling. And then aside from that, I had done, you know, Christmas pageants here and there for the church that I was going to, and we would do kind of some level of productions with my music class in elementary school before our choir was a thing. So there have been times that I had done a few different things, but the acting bug didn't really hit me until I was in 7th grade. So 7th grade, it was September, and I had just turned 13. Or just about to turn 13. Anyway, it was September. My birthday's in September. I heard on the intercom at school that there was going to be auditions for Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, and I thought, that's a fun way to pass my time, so I immediately went to the payphone. Yes, I'm that old. Called my parents and said to them, hey, I'm gonna be late home from school. Can you pick me up around this time? I'm gonna go audition for a play. We're gonna get to it. It's fine. If you're a theater buff and I just said Rodgers and Hammerstein, Cinderella, and I said play, I get it. It's not a play. I'm fully aware, but that was the connotation I gave it because I didn't understand back then. And we're gonna talk about the difference between plays and shows. Let's just get to it. So I got the role. I didn't get any like big role, but I did get the role of a townsperson. And I did that very happily, except for my one solo line, which was, and me, I'm in the 2nd grade, because I was in 7th grade, for crying out loud. I was a short 7th grader. So she felt like, the director felt like she could get it by me. Fun fact, when I was visiting the very first job I ever really had, if you guys follow my vlogging channel, I was at this place that I worked as a dishwasher, and as I was sitting there, in walked the director and in walked her husband, who played the king, into the diner for lunch. I was gonna say hi, but then I thought that'd be really weird if they do not remember me, so I didn't say hi to them, but I thought about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been forever since I'd seen them. Anyway, fun fact, moving on. So that was where the acting bug really hit. I wanted to do nothing else but act, and I devoted the rest of my life in middle school and high school to acting. I joined improv, I joined speech, I joined mock trial, basically anything where I could play a character, I joined it. And I joined it fast, and I joined it hard, and I worked really hard with all of them. It became this just incredible passion of mine. And I took acting classes. I just was so into it, and I still am. It's still what I would love to do for the rest of my life, aside from also directing and producing, but you know, it's still something that I would love to do with my life full time. It would still be a dream come true. I ended up first year of college majoring in theater, specifically theater performance, but then I transferred to St. Cloud State University, where I eventually graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in film studies. So definitely took a different route, definitely not an acting degree of any kind, but I still took acting classes while I was in St. Cloud. I still took all kinds of acting classes, theater, voice acting classes. I took on-camera acting classes. Like, I still took so many classes, even though it did nothing for my major or my minor, because my minor was in French. Je parle français. Once I became an adult, I stopped having time for theater, because theater takes a lot of time, and I'm not super confident about doing on-screen. I've done on-screen acting. I'm not super confident in on-screen acting just because of my crooked teeth, and I know a lot of people are going to probably troll me, but like, what about the fact that you're fat? I have no problem with that. I mean, right now, my only downside is that it's only the fat best friend who is hilarious, and I'm not a comedian, so I'm screwed. But I'm definitely one of those people who's going to try and change the narrative where that's concerned. I started to really put my focus towards voice acting, and so I've been doing a lot of voiceover work for the last, I'd say 6-7 years. I've been doing a lot of voiceover work. Not something that I share a ton of, unless of course what I do airs on YouTube, then I share it. But for the most part, I just do it and just go about my life. But yeah, I've done narration, I have done announcing, I have done characters. I am 2 main characters for a YouTube series that's currently on hiatus. I am also working on, it's currently like in a pre-production / production phase right now for a video game, so I'm very excited about that. But yeah, so lots of things that I work on that people don't generally know a ton about, but I will share the heck out of the game once there's more to talk about. But right now there's not a lot to talk about, because obviously it's still, like I said, in a pre-production production phase. So I've done some work for it, but mostly just for the trailer. So there you go. And once the trailer becomes available, I will share the heck out of it. So just so you guys know, I will let you guys know when that comes out, because I'm very excited about it. So essentially, that is my life in acting. I've been doing it for a very long time. I've also been directing for the last 8 or so years. I've been directing, so it's definitely something that I hold near and dear to my heart, something that I feel like I'm an expert on, at least in certain aspects I feel like I'm an expert on. I have directed stage, I have directed some voice, and I have directed some on screen, not a ton, but I've definitely done some. So anyway, let's get rolling with it. So now that you guys know where I stand as an expert, if you guys are brand new here and you guys know now where I stand, I've been acting like pretty much my entire life, and it's something that I have studied and something that I have learned a lot about, and can depict good actors and bad actors and green actors versus bad actors. Not all bad actors are bad. Some are just green and they just have a lot to learn. Some are just bad because they can't seem to get past the I'm reading a script issue. So what are the different forms of acting? There are a ton of forms of acting, and one I'm not even going to try and touch because I am not a ballerina. I am not a modern dancer. I know enough about dancing to do music theater, but that's pretty much it. I know how to do a basic waltz. I know how to do a basic tango. I know how to do basic dances here and there. Not enough to do Swan Lake or the Nutcracker. So we're gonna leave that to the professionals. So I will not talk about dance as a form of acting in theater, though I believe dance to be some of the most beautiful acting out there in the world. I find ballet to be absolutely beautiful acting, and if you do not believe ballet is acting, then you need to learn yourself some lessons about ballerinas, because they are actors and they are beautiful at it. So I'll just throw that out there. If you're a ballerina and you're watching this, I adore your acting and I think you are incredible. Unless you're a shitty ballerina then. So essentially the 3 big forms of acting is stage, camera, and voice. So all 3 are very different, and some have some similarities between them, but for the most part, all 3 of them incredibly different. So let's break them all down. Let's start with stage. So obviously stage is the most common that people know about aside from on screen. Stage can be broken down into dance, shows, and plays. Now, what's the difference between a show and a play? A show is musical theater. A play is spoken. And then of course, breaking shows down even further, you also have opera, which again, not an expert, because I know enough about singing to play in choruses in musical theater. I have never played a leading role in musical theater. I will throw that out there right now. I've never done a major role in musical theater because you don't want this voice singing that, especially after my vocal damage. Opera is a whole other thing as well, and I'm sure that there are people who can really speak to opera. Obviously that fits within the musical theater realm. It's a little more higher kind of observed. It tends to be higher class, if you will, but still musical theater, still a show, still incredible. So there you go. Someone would venture to guess that magicians are also actors. I've definitely come across some magicians who are incredible actors, incredibly funny. And of course, you can't denounce the idea that comics are also actors and funny actors, because again, not a comedian. Not a comedian, guys. It's not gonna happen. I used to think I could be a comedian, but I actually started writing stand-up. You don't want to hear it. Then there's on-screen. On-screen breaks into 3 different categories. That is television, film, and new media, which with television and new media, this can be broken up into 2 more categories, which would be multi-camera and single camera. Where with film, it's, I don't even know, is there a film that has multi-camera? Huh. I'm gonna have to do some research on that and double check and see if there's a film with multi-camera. I know that there are films made entirely on iPhones, which just makes me think I need to film our film on a Samsung Galaxy, because screw iPhone. You have multi-camera, which the best way to indicate whether or not it's a multi-camera or single camera is if it's a sitcom and if there's a live audience or a laugh track. Depends, and don't get those 2 mixed up. This is definitely a film production more thing, not an acting thing. But a laugh track is added in post, where a live audience is on the initial track, the initial audio track. So stop calling a live audience a laugh track. It isn't correct. It is fundamentally incorrect. Anyway, I digress. If it's a live audience or a laugh track, that tends to be multi-camera, meaning that they have multiple cameras at any given angle that are strategically placed so you don't see any of the crew, you don't see any of the audience, you don't see any of the other cameras or any of the mics or anything like that. They have multiple mics running around, they have multiple just things happening all around the actors, and so that they can kind of run it more like they run a play, where they can kind of go from beginning to end, stop every once in a while whenever there's a blooper or whenever they have to do a quick rewrite. But for the most part, they just kind of run it and they don't have to do multiple takes over and over again. Single camera is the exact opposite. Single camera is where they usually only have 1 camera running at a time, and they have to do multiple takes in order to get different angles. So for example, let's say that this is a movie. I'm playing the part of a YouTuber, and so there would definitely be a camera that would be behind this camera, enough so that you could see that I'm talking to a camera, and then but facing me. So I'm the target of the lens. Then there would also be one behind me facing this way to show the camera, and maybe even one really close to the viewfinder so that you could definitely see that I'm recording a video, right? So we would have to do essentially, oh, and then an establishing shot. So we would have a camera off to this side showing me and the camera and me talking to the camera. So that is already 4 separate takes that have to be done in order to put one scene together. It's a lot, and films take a lot of time to film, and different shots are done on different times. So I mean, this shot where the camera's behind this camera and facing me, this could probably be done in April, and the one behind me could have been done in June, and the one where I'm behind here may not even be me. So there you go, little filmmaker tidbit for you. Back ahead's not always the actual actor, even if that's who you're hearing, because ADR is a thing. And anime fans know what ADR is. It's dubbing. So obviously you have television, which is going to be serialized on television, and generally between a half an hour to an hour long episode, which actually without commercials would be more like 25 minutes to 45 minutes. Then you have movies or films, which are going to be longer, more kind of concise stories that are being told that have the normal storyline arc. Television shows also tend to have A story, B story, maybe even a C story. Movies will have a bunch of different stories involved, but it really doesn't have the same connotation of A story, B story, C story. And then new media, and I throw that in there just because obviously new media kind of has evolved over time from really, I mean, some people really like short content, like, you know, Vine was a big thing, and now TikTok is a big thing. There are people playing parts in these, you know, short content media on these platforms. And then of course you have YouTube, where longer media tends to be more of a thing nowadays. So now we have longer media. So we go anywhere from 6 seconds to hours long. And so that's what I love about new media, is the fact that there is no real rule yet as far as what the standard is. Where with television and film, you have standards. And yes, there are movies that break the standards, where you have to put Titanic on 2 separate freaking VHS tapes. But there's still a standard. There's still an industry standard. And with new media, there isn't one yet. So it'll be interesting to see how new media evolves over time even further now. Then you have voiceover. And voiceover, I think, really honestly is like the biggest category, because there's so much you can do outside of, you know, cartoons and anime. Again, I find those two to be completely different things. Prelay cartoons and Japanese animation, or anime that, you know, animation that was conceived of in Japan, even though most anime is not actually animated in Japan anymore, but I digress. There's audiobooks where you're playing roles. There's narration, there's announcing. There's just so many different avenues you can go down when it comes to voiceover. It's almost impossible to kind of depict all the different things you can do. There is no limit. There are people who are doing voiceover for GPS systems. I did the thing. GPSs, not GPS systems. Ugh. And, you know, sometimes that's just simply like just making sounds so that they can piece them together into forming words. If you guys didn't know, that's actually how it's done. A, ah, aw, b, b. I mean, just basically literally doing sounds. All the different variations of sounds of each freaking letter you can possibly do, so that they can just be pieced together by a smart AI. If you guys didn't know that's how GPSs were done, I learned that once from a voice actor. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so like I said, voiceover is endless, which is why I personally love voiceover, because it is endless, and it doesn't matter what I look like. It doesn't matter if my teeth are straight. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing makeup. It doesn't matter the size of my waist. It doesn't matter what color my hair is. I can play whatever I want to play. I am playing a chibi version of a mecha, for crying out loud, okay? So that is the basic rundown of the different forms of acting and how and all the different avenues you can take with acting. Let me know in the comments below any specific questions you may have about acting, and if I can make a full video out of it, I will. But if enough of them come by where it's not maybe not necessarily a full video, maybe I might do a Q&A about it. But I do plan on doing more of these and diving a bit deeper into methods and different avenues. And my goal is to, when I'm meeting up with my voice actor friends again, to possibly do interviews with them about how they started and how they view acting, what methods they use in their acting, and what they do while acting. So look forward to this. I'm really hoping to turn this into a really fun series, and that is all I've got for you guys right this second. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode, this kind of introduction to Acting 101. Like I said, if you guys have any questions specifically about acting, let me know in the comments below, and I will touch on them, even if I have to do some research on them, because I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything. I'm not the best actor in the world, be honest. I'm not the best actor. I'm not a comedian. You put me into a comedy series and I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna fail hard because I'm not a comedian. Oof. Oofta. Don't even want to try that. Anyway, if you guys want to check out some of my acting, you can click right here. If you guys want to see some of the comedic stuff that I used to try, you can click right here, because I'm terrible at it, but it's fine. Some of them I was a lot younger and had a lot more confidence in it, but not good at it. You can subscribe right here, share this video, like this video, hit that the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.